What's up, B2 Capital G here. So the 2018 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Forbidden and Limited list has been revealed. The ban list for Worlds is here, and I want to go ahead and talk about it for a little bit. Not just the ban list, as we know that the Worlds ban list always has a couple of kooky things on there. The Worlds ban list, for those of you guys who don't know, actually, it's a culmination between the OCG and the TCG ban list. Basically, you take the two lists, you slam them together, and then you actually ban out cards that are banned in either region. If a card is limited in one region but it's at 3 in another, you use the lowest amount that is allowed in either region. You also ban out any cards that are not available in other regions. So the world's meta is actually like, it's a fake kind of MLB All-Star game, as I always say, but at the same time it actually is, I mean, it definitely is a test for the players who are playing as to who can adjust the best, because you have to understand that there are going to be a lot of decks and archetypes that players are used to playing, but they can't play them because of one of the other regions. Also, there will be cards like Maxi that the OCG players, I mean, Maxi is one of the most popular cards in the entire OCG. Oops, can't play it because of the TCG players. So it's all about, you know, when you, or how fast you can adjust, and can you adjust to certain things on the fly, because these players don't know the full depth of this ban list until it's actually revealed, and it was just revealed 24 hours ago. There are certain things that they know, like they know if they're in the if you're in the TCG, you know you're not going to be able to play Dragonic Diagram, but you don't know the full extent of the list. There are also just random things on the list from time to time that I want to go ahead and talk about, and then I guess give my pick and talk about what could be the potential meta. So for starters, there are 534 banned cards, which oh man, I wonder if I'll be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Long enough to where the real ban list has 538 cards. That'll be a long ass time. That'll be like era 15 or something like that. Actually, no, it won't be. That'll be like, what are we? We're in era, what, 6 of Yu-Gi-Oh! That'll be in like era 10 probably. But anyways, it's not really 534 cards. Most of these are actually just cards that we haven't gotten in the TCG, and they're not all just promos. It's not all Fight for Patchwork and, you know, just other cards that we're still waiting for in the TCG. A lot of them are from the new sets, and, you know, just sets that we haven't actually got yet. So there are a lot of cards that are forbidden that the OCG players may actually play, but they're just not going to be able to play them at this event. There are some other weird ones, and I look at the OCG, or I look at this ban list, and I just don't quite understand it. Two cards that instantly popped out to me were Unity and Yujo Friendship, and it seems like Konami actually has a little bit of a theme here. Any cards that drastically like can alter life points, it looks like Konami is actually banned. Despite the fact that these cards are not banned in the OCG or the TCG, and I don't know if it's because of the new life point or the new end of rules procedure, and if they don't want any crazy shenanigans going on, you know, in time or what. But some of these cards were actually banned in previous world events, and I'm still not exactly sure why. Yujo Friendship and Unity, if you use them in conjunction, I believe you add up both players' life points and then you chop it in half, and then both players' life points become whatever that amount is. I don't really see why it actually has to be banned, but it's kind of weird. You'll have other cards on here like Stratos that's banned because of the TCG, but you'll also have Damage Juggler on the other side that's banned because of the OCG. When you really look at the world's ban list, you'll realize that, you know, sometimes in the TCG we're always like, woe is me, we don't have this card, we don't have that card, they have card destruction and Feather Duster and all this other stuff. But then you look at the OCG and like, man, wait, they only have Darkhold at 1, and they only have this card at this and other stuff. So we actually do have a lot of cards that they don't in the OCG, and man, there is a huge difference between the metas. Other things like Cannon Soldier and Toon Cannon Soldier, that's because of the OCG, but, you know, Charit being banned and Tribe Infecting Virus, that's because of us over here in the TCG. The ban cards, I think, will make it'll make an impact as to what decks probably are not going to be that good. For instance, True Draco is a deck that's actually had seen a rise in play, and certain cards like Heritage had kind of gone up in the OCG. You guys know that we just got Ignis Heat. Unfortunately, I don't feel like you can play True Draco at this event. True Draco did really well. Marcella Barberi ended up getting top 4 last year at Worlds with True Draco, but considering that Dragonic Diagram is banned in the OCG, I feel like that just puts a nail in in that coffin. I do not think that you can play True Draco at the highest level if you don't have their field spell. Like if you don't have the Searcher, if you don't have the card that gets you to any True Draco spell or trap or a monster that you need every single turn, I just don't know how it's going to work. Now, some other cards that are a little weird, and this has happened in previous years, Emergency Provisions is banned at Worlds. I don't ask me why. Again, the only thing I can think of is it is a card that allows huge swings and life points. Hypothetically, if you were playing a deck like Chainburn and you activated Secret Barrel, Just Desserts, Jar of Greed, Reckless Greed, and then you activated Emergency Provisions at the end, you would gain like what, 4,000 life points. So I kind of get that. I just don't understand why Konami is going after this mindset of I can gain a bunch of life points. Like they're going after it hard, and it's not just that too. Let me see. Hopefully I didn't skip over it, but I believe that here it is. Our good buddy Mystic Walk is also banned. Now, I said that Mystic Walk was going to be good with the new end of match procedures because hypothetically you could attack your opponent with Borlo Dragon, hit him for 3,000, and then Mystic Walk your Borlo Dragon and gain 3,000, and it would be just a huge threshold. You're talking about 6,000 life points that your opponent would have to clear. Even if that wasn't an end of match, like if you knew you were going into time, it could be a huge swing and life points. But yeah, the card is actually banned. It's really weird because I don't think that it doesn't really facilitate any burn strategies, but I think it is because of the end of match. But it was banned last year as well. There are some other ones like Try and Guess, if I can find that. Yeah, Try and Guess is banned as well. This is a card that I believe can do 3,000 damage, but I also believe that this one lets you gain 3,000 life points because this is a nurse burn card, right? Where I think the player who has like the player who gets it right ends up gaining 3,000. Maybe both players gain. Either way, this card is really weird. It really only sees play in nurse burn, but Konami did actually ban it for the Worlds tournament. Not exactly sure why. Again, I think it's because they just wanted to take out all the life point gain cards. Furthermore, Rainbow Life has been banned as well. Rainbow Life is not a card that I think is actually broken, but they went ahead and they took it out. Now let's look at the limited list. The limited list, and I think especially because of the OCG, is definitely going to limit some of the decks that people can play. Like if I asked you, what do you think the top 2 decks are going to be at this event? I think most people would 100% nail what is probably the favorite going into the event, and my guess would be that would be Gouki. I say Gouki because the truth of the matter is, and I actually feel like Gouki is in a similar position as Blue Eyes was in 2016. I actually think that Gouki's better than Blue Eyes potentially than Blue Eyes was in 2016 because Blue Eyes had kind of like other decks that were hit around it. Gouki were arguably the best deck going into this tournament from the TCG perspective, and now they basically have no consistency hits. They don't have anything limited. There are no cards in the Gouki deck that are hit, and Gouki have less opposition. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is actually limited to 2, which I'll talk about momentarily, but I would say Gouki are the favorites. But there are some other decks that I was looking at and I was like, okay, could an Invoke version or could an Invoke deck actually work? And I think that you have to eliminate Invoked because Alistair the Invoker is semi-limited to 2. That's because of the OCG, and I think that Invoke could probably get away with that with just 2 copies of Alistair the Invoker, but really Invoked Merkaba is also limited in the OCG. And when your best boss monster is limited to 1 and your search card is limited to 1 and you don't have as many, well, it's going to be a little more difficult to get to your field spell because of terraforming. I feel like that can be a problem. ABC is another one. I think ABC could have been extremely strong at this event, but because of the OCG, Dragon Buster is limited to 1. And, these decks where you have Merkaba and you also have, Buster Dragon, if those things get kaiju, you basically lose your win condition. In addition to losing a couple of copies of Buster Dragon, Union Hanger is also limited to 1, or excuse me, it's semi-limited. And again, you have the whole terraforming shenanigans because of the OCG. And I'm not trying to rag on the OCG, but it definitely takes out some of the decks. Now, the deck I believe actually could shock the world and win this event if they can somehow keep Gouki in check would actually be Pure Sky Strikers. The reason that I would go with Pure Sky Strikers over the original version is if you look at Sky Strikers, the only card that they're losing in a pure version is pretty much just this. It's just Hornet Drones. As far as I know, they don't run that many copies of Terraforming, so it's not really that big of a deal with Terraform. You're just losing out on your Hornet Drones, and considering you have Sky Striker Ace Ray, I think that you'll be fine getting into your Sky Striker monsters. Now, I think that the Trickstar version is kind of out the window. I'm not saying it's completely unplayable, but if you look at it, they lost 2 copies of Hornet Drones. Trickstar Reincarnation is also limited to 1 because of the OCG, so that makes it a lot more difficult. to pull off your droll reincarnation plays, and terraforming is also limited to 1 as well. So you're losing 6 cards essentially, and 2 of them are consistency cards for the Sky Striker Trickstar deck. So I actually feel like, well, here's terraforming right here. I actually feel like the better version of Sky Strikers is just to run a pure version, maybe throw in some Darkest Diablos in there, and hopefully you can somehow figure out a way to beat Gouki. Now I think it'll be really interesting, right? Because as I said, Maxi is banned at this event. Ash Blossom and Joy Spring is limited to 2, which makes me wonder, what is the hand trap meta going to be now that OCG players, I mean, all they do is play Maxi. They're just accustomed to playing that card all day and night. Here it is, Maxi Forbidden. So OCG players are not going to be able to play Maxi. TCG players are going to have to run 2 copies of Ash Blossom, which is our most popular hand trap. It makes me wonder if Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit can work her way back into the meta, or if maybe people will just say, I'm going to run cherries instead. Then there is also the other option, right? We saw some of the Trickstar decks put in Infinite Impermanence because that card is not susceptible to, it's not susceptible to the Aqua Dolphin #1. It's also not susceptible to Called by the Grave. So it's like, that could definitely be potential. Like, what do you guys think the hand trap meta is going to be? I feel like Droll and Lockbird might actually be the most popular trap card, and I wonder if things like Aqua Dolphin are going to translate over to the World Tournament as well. I think a Dinosaurs could be extremely good. I don't believe the OCG has any like serious dinosaur hits that we don't know about in the TCG, and I feel like, well, I think Fossil Dig is at 2, Miscellaneousaurus is at 1, but everything else I think is pretty much good. So Dinosaurs could be a threat. I would probably say my top 3 decks at this event, maybe Paleozoic. I thought about Paleozoic, but the problem with Paleozoic is the same problem that ABC are going to face. Your boss monster, Totally Awesome, if I can actually find it, excuse me, this must be the ban section. If I can actually find Totally Awesome is actually limited to 1 because of the OCG. I thought maybe Burning Abyss could work as well. Burning Abyss has Beatrice, Seer, and Graph all limited in the TCG, and it also has Dante limited to 1 in the OCG, but can Burning Abyss work with just 1 Dante? That's what I have to ask myself, and they can't play Cherubini because Konami is never going to give us that card, apparently. So, I think Burning Abyss could have been a sleeper had it not been for Dante limited to 1, but I do want to know what you guys think of the ban list. Do you have any explanations for all of these life point change cards and why they're actually banned? What do you guys think is going to win? If I told you right now, answer this. If I told you Gouki wasn't going to win, tell me what you believe would win, and also, do you believe Gouki is the overwhelming favorite, as I do believe it is going to be? Anyways, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.